friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for the lovely message from my previous video, and today we are going to be discussing how to grow your business if you literally just started. So what inspired me to do this video was I've noticed a couple of my friends started to sell new products or services during this pandemic as an additional revenue stream, or some of them were basically forced to start a new businesses due to this whole COVID situation. So today I have prepared 3 tips for you to grow your business at the initial stage. So first of all, I'm going to share with you how to create a good visual that clearly tells people exactly what are you trying to sell. And second is how to have a strong presence in social media. Third, if you're thinking for the immediate boost of awareness or sales, how you can leverage on Facebook ads or Facebook Live in order to have this effect. So first, regardless of how you like to call it, whether it's a sales kit, it's a sales visual, or it's an e-brochure, what I essentially meant is basically a shareable material that clearly shows what are the products and services that you are selling. I'm not quite sure why this tip is not obvious for most of the people, but I definitely recommend this is literally the first thing you want to do before anything. Now, regardless if you already have a website or you only have one product or services at the moment, when you are meeting a new potential customers or you just want to simply blast these product or services to your friends and family, this is essentially the one thing that you should be forward rather than what are the sales kit or material that your supplier provided you. What I've observed right now is that a lot of people are actually taking product from a certain supplier. So when you guys trying to tell this new product or services to a new customers, essentially what you guys tend to always do is to forward the material that the supplier has been given to you, which typically that's supposed to be used as a communication tool between B to B. So typically the material from the supplier will contain a lot of jargon and unnecessary information, especially for your first-time customer. Most of the time, it will be too long to read at the first place. So try to imagine this. When you're first approaching this new customer, are you really expecting them to go through that boring and long slides that you are forwarding? But of course, I'm also well aware that a lot of you guys are just started. You probably don't have a graphic designers or even a marketer to work along with you. So here's a few tips I'd like to share with you on how you can create a shareable material even without any designing skills. Now, I use Canva for literally anything when I need to create a visual for myself at the moment. It is really simple to use, and even if you don't have any Photoshop or Illustrator skills, you can still create a very beautiful yet professional visuals with the given tools. So Canva comes with a lot of preset templates of different sizes or different types of graphics, such as an IG post, an IG story, a brand kit, or even logo for you to begin with. So if you think you're really going to be struggle creating a graphic from scratch, I would highly suggest you to choose a template that best represents your product or services, and later on change some of the key colors in the visual that matches your product or services so that everything looks more put together. So what's even more cool with Canva is that you can already create a pretty good and professional visual even just with the free subscription base. So the perks for a paid subscription is that you will have a lot of access when it comes to the element and the photo sections, and you can also easily resize your visual into a lot of different sizes. And third, you can also upload your own font. Of course, it comes with a lot of different benefits as well, but for me, these are the 3 things that will attract me to pay $10 every month. However, if having a huge photo library would be one of the concerns for you, there is actually plenty of free sites where you can download the image from that site first and later on upload it to Canva. So I recently discovered Pexels. Not only they have a lot of free stock images, but it also comes with a lot of HD stock videos as well. So if you watch my previous video, you will see that I have started to use a few of them and trying to tell a better story. So for your peace of mind for using the material from Pexel, it is absolutely free to use and attribution is not required. Meaning to say that when you use the photos or videos, you actually do not need to credit back who are the creators. So for more information about which type of license you should avoid for commercial use, I found this particular video is really useful. You can click on it later on to explore more free video or photo sites. So now that you're equipped with the tools on where to start, what are the elements that you need to include it in your visual? On the other words, what are the necessary information or copywritings you should include? So let me just try to put things in the most simplest form. If today you are trying to create a very promotional driven visuals and your product and services are something that we commonly already knew, such as manicure, apparel, food, etc. First, you wanted to make sure that you have a very good image that clearly shows people what does your product or services look like. Second, you want to be transparent with your price as much as possible. Third, you only need one key statement that clearly states what are the key offerings of your product and services, differentiate you from other competitors. For example, it is a homemade product, it is 100% vegan, or it is using a recyclable material. You don't really need to state everything here in the key visual. Because one common practice that we have in Malaysia is that when you first started a new product or services, typically we would share this content through WhatsApp. So when you forward things over, I would rather you keep some of the long text information at the text itself, such as the location, the date, the call to action, etc. on the text messages. So basically the key here is to create interest and reduce the frictions with your customers at the very first place. Personally, I really hate chatting with the salesperson back and forth about what's the price, where's the locations, how to purchase it, etc. I would really rather you state all of these fundamental information beforehand. Now, not only that it reduces a lot of frictions for your customers, it also helps your customer to get a very clear understanding at the very first place. It is also a lot easier for you to scale and manage as well, because now you don't have to forward 100 of different things at one time, and you can also avoid to keep answering the same basic questions over and over again. So the key here is to create a material that is easily digestible for your first-time customer. So it really depends on what are the product or services that you're selling. Sometimes when it comes to a product like electronic appliances, it is best to showcase the benefit with a video. You can also take a very simple video and then put it on Canva so that you can also incorporate some of the call to action or different informations that you would like to deliver. But if you're thinking about forwarding a video on WhatsApp, make sure that you have reduced the size of the video so that it is easier for your customers to download it as well. Alternatively, a visual is just as good enough. So if your product or services is slightly more complicated and it's not widely known for the public, it falls under the second scenario where it requires more thorough explanations for your first-time customers. So when you're trying to create a few more slides for this material, make sure that it is always short and sweet and use as much infographics as possible to represent some of the more complicated information. Once again, you can also do this on Canva, but bear in mind, if your explanation involves a rather long process, always use some charts or numbers to tell the stories rather than a long paragraph, because your first-time customers might not have that interest yet to read a lot about you. So make sure your deck is as sleek and as simple as possible. Skip the history of the company and background, put only what are the necessary information for your first-time customer to know. Because some of the more detailed information such as your vision, your mission, the company and background, when your customers has already interested to knowing more about you. So the second tip is how to have a strong presence at social media, which is an absolutely no-brainer. I would highly recommend you to prepare at least 1 month worth of content in advance so that you can start uploading it later on consistently every day at the beginning. This is because your product is so new. Even after you have sent out all the text messages and people are actually interested to buy, what people will do now these days is definitely to look up your social media profile. So when they actually do that, you want to make sure that you already have some posts telling about the product, your brand message and more. Maybe 1 month worth of content might seem a lot for you initially, but once you break it down into different content pillars, for example, educational content, product-driven content, lifestyle images, and quotes and more, it will help you to gain better understandings on which content you should prepare moving forward. So when you have a very clear structure, you then allocate more time for content that is harder for you to do, and then try to find a balance to create different types of content as much as possible. So a lot of people also tend to ask me these questions. Is there a best timing to post? And the answer is yes. So on the weekdays, the best time in the morning is 7 to 9, and in the noon it's 12 to 2, and in the evening it's 5 to 6, and at night it's 9 to 11. So if you're posting on a weekend, the best timing for you to post in the morning is 9 to 11 and 2 to 5 in the afternoon. So write it down if you need. And the second question that I get asked most of the time is that how much content you should post in a day. Well, my answer is post as much as you can if you are capable of. Don't let yourself burn out from this content thing because it's not worth it. You have so much more things to be worried about. But basically, there's no a maximum number that you should post in a day. Of course, you shouldn't be spamming a lot of low quality images in a day as well. So I would say if you're capable to post like 3 to 4 times in a day, then by all means please do it. But if you're not, posting one post in a day to begin with is definitely a key to have a strong presence. But most of the time, if your product or services actually exist elsewhere, meaning to say you are only the local distributors or suppliers, you can actually search online through hashtags or through Google, look for a lot of existing images as well, because I'm sure that over the other country, they already have some marketing campaigns or influencer marketing ongoing. So you can use those images and repost it at your feed. But remember to always credit back where did you get this image from to avoid copyright issue. But of course, I'm not suggesting you to do all of your feed through reposting, but definitely if you're trying to post more in a day, this is one way that you can consider. So clearly, a lot of people already knew that the engagement at IG Story is far better than the feed post this day in Instagram. But I'm not quite sure why for company, brand, product or services profile, people tend to ignore the IG Story these days, especially for those of you who are just starting. So besides the feed post, make sure that you also start to create some IG Stories for the best engagement and also structure them in your highlight section in a very structured way. So for example, you can always structure your highlight in like the benefits, the frequently asked questions, what are the price, what is your locations, how to purchase and things like that, so that for those people who are actually more interested to view your story and they miss it at the beginning, they can later on check on the highlight section as well. So when it comes to an IG Story context, don't overthink that you actually have to produce a very professional video, because when it comes to social media, the key here is to be as relevant and as real, as authentic as possible. So don't overthink your content when it comes to an IG Story. Just start doing it and later on you will definitely get better. So the main thing for this tip is that consistency is the key, because when you're first starting to consistently post your feed or your IG Stories, you will get recognized better from the algorithm. And when it comes to this part, you always like to operate like a media company, and for every content that you're putting out, try to give as much value as possible. So the last tip is how to leverage on Facebook Live or Facebook ad for an immediate boost. Now to do this step, the second step is necessary for you to do first, because imagine if one of your Facebook Lives or ads actually does create a lot of traffic for your product or services, and when people click on your profile before they're purchasing it, and your profile appeared to be very empty without a lot of information, your company will then appear a lot more like a scam company rather than a legit company. So definitely do the second step first before considering these particular steps. So when it comes to Facebook Live, I look at it at two different perspectives. One is you use Facebook Live to create more engagement or content by having different guests talking about your product or services at the beginning. Later on then repurpose your content is actually a good way to go. However, since this video is about how to grow your business at the very beginning, I would assume that right now you don't have a huge following on your business profile as well. So I wouldn't really use Facebook Live in this way per se. The second type on how people use Facebook Live that is actually successful is using the auction methods, because people who are interested with the product, they would like to bid your product at the most reasonable price according to their own affordability. So if you do it right, like most of the uncles and aunties right now who is selling durian and like vegetables, fish and yada yada, I would say this would definitely work. But of course, when this trend first started, I actually don't know how this works, because those videos tend to be very loud, just keep shouting about one thing, and I don't actually have a lot of value out of it. But until my mom recently bought durian from a Facebook Live, I then understand why it works, because first, it provides convenience for your customers to get your product. Second, it also provides an additional benefit where your customer couldn't get this at your retail store or your online store. So if you have that bubbly and exciting kind of personality to be appeared in front of the camera, definitely try this. I think this has been proven to work for a while right now, especially during the lockdown period. So on the other hand, when it comes to Facebook ads, it's definitely something that I would recommend you to do even if you're just started. Again, this is because Facebook allows you to deliver your messages to a very specific type of audiences, which if you do it right, you can really attract a lot of potential customers as well. So regarding this part, I've actually done 2 videos previously telling about how to create an ads that actually have a better conversion and what are the 5 steps you should take note in creating a good Facebook ad. So you can definitely click on these 2 videos to watch later on if you would like to know more about how Facebook ads works. So when it comes to marketing, of course there will be a lot of other methods that will work as well. For example, there is like collaborations, influencer marketing, campaigns and events. But if you literally just started your company, these are the 3 steps that I would say is the most fundamental steps to begin with. Also, it could be one of the most low cost to start with as well. So these are the 3 steps that I would definitely share with my friends if you just started a new business. So I hope you find this video useful. Share it with your friends as well if they just started a company.